I am now going to bring up our third panel, and we're going to be talking with Nea and Fed about marketing and selling the game. And I'm going to ask Nea to come on until we get Fed's audio.
Of course.
Nea.
I'm ready.
We're all one team here, as you can all see. So Nea, until Fed realizes that we can't hear him, Nea, if you can tell us a little bit about how Mojang markets to all of our audience so that we are broad enough and appealing to all of our community as players.
Yeah, of course. So that's a super interesting question because I know that Fed will be able to speak from a different side of this. In the meantime, I see him speaking in the background. So sorry if I have a bit bad. So at least on my side, because I work more on the community, social media, and influencer side, when we think about the audiences, if you think about Minecraft, like the audiences and the diversity that we manage is huge. Because we're talking about global scale, we're talking about diversity in terms of types of audiences. Even when we look at different audiences, we have different types of players within the player segment. And like you have all these different aspects. So just to give a bit of context on each of one, when we think about the global scale, Minecraft has players in every single country of the world. That magnitude, that's just so wide. So one of the things that Fed and I have been working on in the past was presenting to the studio the fact that only 4% of the world's population speak English, for example, as a first language. So it's so important for us to think about all those other audiences that are in different countries with different languages. Even if they speak some English, it might not be enough to engage with some of our content, like the live events that we have that don't have like subtitles sometimes. So it's very important for me as someone that leads community and social media and influencer communications to think about those audiences and be able to create content that is not only translated, but it's localized, right? That it resonates with the regional audiences. So we've been doing some efforts towards that side. On community management platforms, we have over 20 language covered so far, and we're always adding more. And that's across different channels like news platforms on PlayStation News, Nintendo Switch News, also Discord. We have different languages now. And then on social media, we recently opened a social media channel on Twitter or X dedicated to Spanish. So we're also moving forward in that area. And then when we think about the different types of audiences, we have many that are players, yes, of course, but then there's many others that are not players. So we can think about parents, we can think about teachers, fans of the franchise that may not play the game or might not be playing anymore. So we really strive to service them all by understanding what are their needs, what are they hoping to hear from Minecraft, how do they engage with the brand. So once we understand that and we listen to what they want, we can create content that is really tailored for them on our communication platforms. And then if we go down even one additional step into that, we have the fact that there's very different types of players. So not everyone plays Minecraft in the same way. So even if we are only thinking about, okay, how do we communicate to our players on social media channels or community channels? We need to think about those different segments. Some really love to go and be creative and just play alone and create these huge, beautiful builds. Some others really prefer to explore with friends, right? So there's all those different types of players. So it's very important for us to understand those nuances too when creating content. And something that I want to call out is that in my personal experience, something that was super useful is that my own personal experience of, first of all, not being a native English speaker, having worked with different audiences in the past, also having worked in different regions, always helps me. Like, I don't even need to make an effort, right? Like, I'm always having top of mind the fact that, hey, not everyone speaks English. Are we servicing the right audiences? Not everyone plays the game like this. Are we talking to those people too? So I would say that sometimes, at least in my experience, it was sometimes tough for me to think about, okay, I don't speak English as a native speaker. Is that going to play against me when trying to find a job or trying to grow my career? And I actually now look back and I'm like, No, it actually is a great asset because it allows me to understand and empathize with so many different nuances that some other people don't have top of mind on their everyday. So yeah, I will stop here because it seems that Fed is back maybe. So maybe
Let's
we
try
can
it.
be back to
Woo-hoo!
him.
I'm back. Let's see. I don't know what you guys heard
You
or
need to
not.
speak
So,
fast now.
Ava, I don't know what was the last thing you guys heard, but I kept going. So tell me, help me here.
You did. So if you can, we didn't hear anything other than you were very happy, and then you cut out. So we were very
Well,
happy
really
that you were
quickly,
happy.
I'll go very quickly, guys. Born and raised in Mexico City, similar to Nea, Spanish speaking, English my second language. Been in the US for quite some time. Went to college in LA. After I went to Loyola Marymount, after I graduated, I went to work for Mattel, doing sales research. Not what I wanted to do, but that's the area that got me my job. Then I went into marketing. Another person actually working at Mattel from Mexico gave me the opportunity to work in marketing, doing marketing for Latin America and for Hot Wheels. So I was very excited because I love racing. After that, I went to a smaller toy company. And after that, I went to work for Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers was the first studio that I worked for doing Latin America licensing. And then with after that, I did toys. So my background is definitely in licensing and toys in the studios. After Warner, I went to DreamWorks, similar thing. I did Latin America and Europe for licensing. Then I did toys for the world. After that, I went to the Jim Henson Company. I managed the overall consumer products business. Then I went to work for Fox. While I was at Fox, Disney came in and took over. So I was the VP of Hardlines, that is pretty much toys for Fox. Then I joined Disney. And then after that, I had created my own company. And then COVID hit. So I needed to put food on the table. So I, through my network, and I will emphasize that, through my network, I was able to connect to who is my boss now, Kayleen, and I was able to get this job. So I am the person responsible for everything that is called consumer products. And consumer products is pretty much everything that we use on our day-to-day lives, correct? The toys that you see at Target or Walmart, the T-shirts that you see at Target or Walmart or Amazon, with imagery of Minecraft. That's what I do, correct? It's funny, I was the little part that I could hear of the presentation, I hear all the smart people talking about programming and all the amazing things that they do. I was not that student. I'll have to admit, I like to my respects for those guys. I was more on the sales side, more on the marketing side, and up to this day, that's what I continue to do. Correct, relationships and partnerships and networking is what has helped my career, and that's why I say I keep emphasizing networking, because at the end of the day, is what's going to get you your job, and is what is going to get you your next job. Correct, so focus a lot on that, be curious, ask a lot of questions. So that's kind of my background. This is my first time. I've been here 3 years, my first time working with video games, and I love it. So thank you guys, and really apologize for all the technical difficulties.
No, I'm glad we got you. I'm glad we got you, Fed. I think one of the things that people would love to hear, Nea talked a lot about how we speak to our audiences, and especially from her perspective when we market. So when you look at selling to our audiences and being able to appeal to that broad community of players that we have, what are the types of things that go through your mind when you're looking at that?
Well, we take a look at this in two ways. One is, and this is all through what we call licensees, and our licensees are our partners. For example, Lego and Mattel are two of our biggest partners. And these partners give us the opportunity to have global representation, correct? So if you go to Europe, you should be able to see a similar toy that you see in Mexico or in Japan or in the Middle East. That to us allows to speak in a general way and allow us to provide consumers with the same experience beyond the game, correct? So the same toy, you will see it in multiple territories. At the same time, we manage our international business with agents. So our agents are our eyes and ears, and they work with local partners, correct, who speak the language, local partners who understand the culture, and they develop products that are right for that culture. So we speak to them in let's call it in a global mass approach from a toy point of view, and for other categories in a very specific areas of certain categories like health and beauty, food and beverage is a big one, correct? When it comes to food, the food that we have in Asia is very different to the food that we have in Latin America or even in the US. So we have to tailor to the needs. So we talk to them in their local language and with their local culture.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fed. I'm glad we got you on. Thank you,
Thank
Nea. Thank you so much for your insights.